Good evening, everyone. The time is now 5:27, and we are broadcasting on all platforms.
What's up, bro?
Please. No, because I don't want payback. See how we have a choice. One minute. I'd like to call the Committee of the Whole for Tuesday, February 11th, 2025 to order. If you will all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. Mr. Clerk, if you will call the roll.
Here.
Alderman Williams.
Here.
Alderman Rockford. Here. Alderwoman Purchase.
Here.
Alderwoman Nitriano.
Here.
Alderman Carlson.
Here.
Alderwoman Conley.
Present.
Alderman Donlin.
Here.
Alderman Hanauer.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the committee meeting minutes. Is there,
So moved.
there's a motion and a second. Any discussion, any discussion, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the closed session minutes.
So moved.
There's a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Mr. Corporation Counsel, did we do that correctly, or do we need to be more specific?
We're moving to release the executive session minutes pertaining to the settlement mediation agreement from July 18th, 2023. The remaining minutes will be kept confidential because the need for confidentiality under the Open Meetings Act still exists.
Is that your motion, Mr. Carlson?
Yes, it is.
And that's what I seconded.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion, any further discussion, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Treasurer's report.
Thank you, Chair. The Treasurer's Report for the Corporate Fund for the month of January. Beginning balance is $48,943,017. We took in total receipts of $21,720,768. We had total disbursements in the month of January totaling $15,671,494. left the corporate ending fund in the month of January at $54,992,291. The ending general fund balance includes $10,739,356, which is the January ending ARPA money. That concludes my report. Thank you, Chair.
Is there a motion to accept the treasurer's report as submitted?
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. There are no presentations this evening. Ordinances and resolutions tabled or remaining in committee. We have one, 2024-333. Anybody wish to do anything with 333? Okay, moving right along.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mr. Hanauer.
I would like to move that we bring 2025-063 and 064 to the front of the meeting to try to help get some of these guys home.
Okay, motion and a second. Any discussion, any discussion, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Mr. Clerk, we're going to begin with 2025-063 this evening.
Chair, if I may.
Yes,
I
Alderman.
see the individual who wants to speak on 2024-333, which is held at table, the remaining in the committee. Would you like to start out with that, or you want to hold it for the end since we're already rolling?
Nobody spoke up. Can we do that right
Yes, sir.
after? If you want, maybe we can do it right after this. Is that all right?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yes,
thanks
sir.
for bringing it up. Yeah.
Can we confirm that the microphones are on? I can't, I could barely hear you, Sean.
Please hold for one moment. We'll reset
tapping.
the system.
That's right. Because I can see the device and,
There we
oh,
go.
there we go. We're back.
Okay.
Please hold for one moment.
Yes. Let us know when you're ready, please, whoever you are. That was a
All
joke.
systems go.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Right. Thank you, Jeremy.
Okay, the first item on the agenda per the council's actions, 2025, agenda item number 2025-063. Mr. Clerk, will you read the ordinance?
An ordinance authorizing $500,000 utilizing the Far East Tax Increment Financing Funds for the infrastructure improvements throughout the Far East TIF District to allow the construction of 50 new affordable single-family homes pursuant to the Nehemiah Homes redevelopment project for the Office of Planning and Economic Development.
Move to debate.
Second.
Motion and a second for the debate agenda. Any discussion from the council? Any discussion? Any discussion? Mr. Clerk, I know we have some individuals signed up to speak on this particular ordinance. Who is first?
Mike Nehemiah.
Mike Niehaus.
Niehaus, I'm sorry.
If Silas go first, that'd be great.
Okay.
Sign up second, I think.
I'm fine with that. Pastor, welcome.
Good afternoon to you and to the city council. You know, I need to take a message that need to take me a sermon this evening because we got an impressive crowd this evening. So since I'm a Baptist preacher, don't give me the mic. Good evening, Mayor and all the city council person. I am here to impress upon the hearts of the city council and the community. We have developed the Nehemiah Corporation. When I say we're talking about Nehemiah Corporation, have developed 120 houses over the last 15 years throughout the far east side of Springfield. We have utilized over 300 vacant lots, torn down numerous of structures that have caused blighted areas. And with these 50 new houses, our plan is to do infill in the areas where there's vacant lots, where there is drug houses, where there is places, and replace them with brand-new houses for low, moderate income families. That's our intent, and that's what we want to do. I'm glad to announce that right now we're in the process of selling 6 new homes right now from the phase 1 of our project. And with this, if I wish the lady was here tonight to speak in regard to her process of buying and what we need to buy. So with this ordinance and this information, it would help us to move forward in our next phase. This is our 5th phase. We have done 4 phases successful. We have done 4 phases with no accidents. We've done 4 phases doing all that we need to do so that those who cannot afford a brand-new house can afford the house that they have dreamed, 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, 2-car garages. It's available for those who qualify per the Illinois Housing Authority. And that is my intent. We want people to live and have the best. I told Mr. Nehemiah when we first talked about this, he asked me, what was your qualifications for these houses? I said, I only got one. And that qualification was that I do not want to build anything that I would not live in. That was my #1 qualification, still is right today. And there's not one house that we have built that I wouldn't live in. And the second thing is that I live in the neighborhood. I don't live across town. I don't live way out west. I live in the neighborhood where we are building houses. I pastor in the neighborhood where I build the houses. So it's personal to me to do what I want to do and doing what we need to do. Any questions?
Questions of the council? Thank you, Pastor.
All right, thank you. Now, Mr. Nehemiah was.
Mr. Nehemiah, you're next.
Next speaker is Mr. Mike Nehemiah.
Hello, everybody. Can't come without handouts. I don't know if Joanne's available or whoever. This is the package that Silas had sent you, emailed to you guys, basically, with very few additions. But I'm an analog guy. I like paper, and it's easy to reference if you want to reference. So basically, I'm here to explain what we're trying to do. And 63 and 64 go hand in hand. Both of them are financing, contributed toward the same development of 50 homes on the east side of Springfield. And the second page of this handout are some of the benefits associated with this. I kind of wanted to go through these real quick. 50 affordable homes on East Springfield. Future home ownership possibilities. Better taxes than you're getting on vacant lots. 76 vacant lots will be improved. 41 of the lots are currently owned by the city of Springfield. You're getting no taxes. You get to mow them. They're yours. 35 lots Silas has accumulated over the years. And there's 11 blighted structures that will be torn down to help beautify this area. And in the package is also a map of where these are going. It highlights the 120 that are there, and I believe the light blue are the shaded ones of the next 50 projects. The numbered sites go up to 36 because we haven't renumbered them because we had 36 different sites to choose from. I think we're down to 20 to get to 50 homes on. But where the numbers are where the homes are going to go. This is really going to improve the neighborhood. We're going to do $1.6 million of this project in infrastructure that's going to help more than just the 50 homes. There's going to be some sewer mains put in, some water mains put in, sidewalks, curbs, interns, a lot of tree removal, beautification, getting the lots ready to go. So I believe that all of this, and there's probably more that I didn't think of, is all in the best interest of the city of Springfield. So then I got to looking at the city code 3815 that requires anything that receives over $50,000 in funds through the city, it requires a PLA, project labor agreement. And so I'm reading the ordinance, and I just want to make sure that we're doing this according to Hoyle and we're following the rules. And the way I'm reading this, might be wrong, but the way I'm reading it, it states, the city of Springfield shall require a project labor agreement unless it has been determined that a project labor agreement would not advance the city's interests. And then it goes on to say of cost, efficiency, quality, safety, timeliness, skilled labor force, etc. We've done 4 phases. We just finished our 4th phase of 40 houses. We built them in 14 months. In the 15th month, the last one was leased up. That's the need here. We lease them up as we finish them. We did not have a PLA. We bid the project. We got 4 bids from union contractors. Unions typically don't do residential work. We've used union contractors in the past, loved them. Mitchell Concrete, we used him forever. We used him on almost all of our projects all over central Illinois. Windsor Homes has built over 1,200 homes in central Illinois, the biggest part of them under the LIHTC program. So just saying, we know what we're doing. So reading that, we can do them less expensively, so the cost is better, efficiently, 40 of them in 14 months. We've got top quality. Ask Matt McLaughlin, Brian Green, or any of the inspectors who inspected them. They'll tell you. I've asked them. Safety, like Silas said, we haven't had an accident or an injury in 120 homes. Actually, in a lot more than that. That's just the 120 in this. Timeliness, again, goes back to 14 months. Skilled labor force. I've had subcontractors working for me for 20 years. These building the same houses. They know how to build them. They're about as skilled at building these houses as you can get. So I don't see where this would protect the city's interest. And when I read this, it seems to me this is geared toward a project that is between the contractor and the city of Springfield. What we're getting the TIF money and home money for is for a private development. Not the city of Springfield, it's a private development. It's to help get the development approved through IDA so we can build the 50 homes. So going through this, I've talked to a lot of people about this, and I've shown this to some people and city employees. I've talked to, I think, all the aldermen except maybe 1 or 2. And I've heard a number of times, it seems to me it's common sense that for $1.5 million to bring an $18 million construction job to Springfield is just common sense. And if we can't get it at $18 million and it costs me another, and I estimate a minimum $5 million to do a PLA, we won't get the job. It will not come to Springfield. It's a done deal. And so when I explain this, I've had too many people say, Mike, it is common sense. But this is not a common sense situation. It's political. It's not common sense, it's political. And so I don't know what's political about it because I'm not a politician, don't want to be. I don't understand what's political about it. We use local trades, local labor. I opened Windsor Homes in Springfield, Illinois in 1993. I built a ton of homes in this town. I built commercial projects, commercial buildings. I'm a local guy. I like local trades. I'd rather have, and when I go to Greene County, we build homes in Carrollton, Greenfield. We use local trades down there too because I don't want to warrant an air conditioner from Springfield. Have the local guys do it. That's what we do. We hire local trades. So when I look at this and I see common sense, right here.
Mr. Niehaus, can you wrap it up?
Yes, sir. I think I've got $1,023,000, don't I?
You're over by 1:25.
It's a negative. Last thing. Common sense, politics. Common sense should prevail, I would think. I'm sorry, I went over.
The aldermen wish to ask questions of Mr. Niehaus. Mr. Clerk, who's the next? Yes.
After the next speaker.
Okay. Mr. Clerk, who's signed up next?
Brad Shivey.
Mr. Shivey, you're up.
My name is Brad Shivey. Most of you know me. I'm glad that I was here for those comments. First of all, the $5 million, because it's the largest lie I've ever heard told in this room. Fact is, the project's covered by either Davis-Bacon or prevailing wage. And material is material. So where's the $5 million cost come from? Many of the people in this room have asked him that. He's never been able to answer at one time because it is a smokescreen. I'm also glad that he said that he likes local. Let's talk about that. The project you already funded with this developer, their certified payroll shows exactly who worked on the project. We have it. We did a FOIA. It's hard to get because the previous administration and the previous OPED director wasn't forthcoming with some of these things, so we had to go through multiple FOIAs to attorneys. Castle Concrete Construction did all their construction out of Pana, Illinois. Excavating Partners out of Palmyra. Glenn Brothers Garage out of Pawnee. Hammond Floor Covering out of Taylorville. James Peak Construction out of Jacksonville. RW Material Electric, Blue Mound, Illinois. Sparks Plumbing, Edinburgh, Illinois. Walker Sons Construction, Farmersville, Illinois. I'm glad you said you like local, you just don't like to hire. Let's go back to Castle Concrete. This is from the Attorney General's office, where they found Castle Concrete stole over $72,000 in prevailing wages and took it out of individuals' pay. It's right here. I have it for you. $72,000. Now, that's a contractor out of Pana. Now, we have black-owned businesses that do concrete right here in this city. Solid ground concrete. Never got a chance to bid. Jermaine Ward, never got a chance to bid. Let's talk about diversity. Look at the diversity in the room tonight. Go by those jobs. Tell me if you see diversity. We've got certified payroll, and we have pictures. We can show them to you. It's not diverse. Nothing like this. Let's talk about when he says politics. This is a lawsuit, the Seventh Circuit. It is for an individual that worked on this job, that came and talked to me, that his rights have been violated. You know, one of the things that we run into all the time is individuals I've never met, come and say, I was told I can get justice if I come talk to you. It's not because I have a college degree. It's because I know labor law and the enforcement of Davis-Bacon prevailing wage. And other individuals tell them to come talk to us. Why is that? Why would they feel like they need to come to labor? And before anybody gets the wrong idea, all of the major unions are covered here tonight. So tomorrow, people are going to say Shivey. And what they don't realize is every single union in this city is represented here with their members and their leadership this evening. But we didn't want to make this another 12 o'clock a.m. meeting for you. So what we tried to do is just condense it into this. So this is a lawsuit in Seventh Circuit. Oddly enough, what I always find is when individuals come to us and say, I wasn't paid prevailing wage on this job, and I was told I had to be. We do certified payrolls. It was tough. It was tough to get certified payroll from the previous OPED director. Very tough. We had to go to chief legal counsel. Our attorneys had to call and say we haven't received it. We were told it didn't even exist. We have it in writing and emails. No certified payroll exists. Then we find out it does, and all of a sudden, magically, 3,000 pages all show up in one download. Well, the individual that we're suing for, guess who's not on the certified payroll? But he does have all the documentation where he's paid $25 on Cash App. $25 on Cash App. Why is it that individuals come? This happened on the Days In project. I came to the city council, talked about the evils of contractors who cheat. We won that case. Larry, and you saw what took place then, firsthand. The individuals that come to me, they don't have union cards in their pocket. So when you talk about politics, it's amazing. They're not a member. Never met them. They don't look like me. They've never been to a union meeting. I doubt they've ever walked a precinct or could name a single alderman. So it's not politics. But why do they come? Because they want protection. They want help. Why would we help someone? Someone who I have nothing in common with them. They're not a union member. They don't live by me. I've never known them. Why do we do this with their money? Why do we do it to protect them? Because we do have something in common. We're both human beings. We deserve respect. We deserve the right to the fair pay. And we deserve a city council in a city that recognizes that a PLA guarantees local, it guarantees minority participation, and it guarantees we will make sure that people are provided for. And the law is followed. That makes many people nervous. So with that, I respect all of you for taking the time to listen. Thank you to all of the members that came here. It is a noble cause, and protecting you is even more noble. Thank you very much.
Alderman Gregory. Alderman Gregory.
Sure. If it's okay, he can ask a question.
Mr. Shivey, I've looked at all of what you talked about. And every person in the last 4 housing thing we have only had 2 unions even bidded. Every electrical union contractor, I personally saw that they bidded the project. Now, you guys look out here. If you could guarantee us that they could do the job equally as good and as fast, I've been a union electrician 30 years, and not drag and piss off, and make sure the job get done in the amount of time that is allotted by IDA. We don't allot the time. They give us a time frame. So if you with all your pumping staff could give us a guarantee that y'all can do it as quick and as easy as possible.
Alderman Gregory.
Yes, Rev, Mr. Niehaus, Shivey Unions. So, this whole project has given me great angst over these last 3 weeks, I could tell you that, because affordable housing is important in our community. And there's been a lot of meetings. And I can say that both of you, from my conversations with some of the unions, and you, Mr. Niehaus, is that you want to get this project done. I think you guys are close, but there needs to be some more discussion. There definitely, I can't push it through the way you want it, and no PLA. That's not something that I can do. But I do think that you two can work it out, or everybody can work it out to make this project work in a community that's 90% black. So I definitely want to see some black brothers and sisters working on a project. That's a requirement because it's that important. And I can say as hard as he sounds and things, I've talked to them and they've been open to working with you, to trying to work it out and get you there. I don't know where the estimate is at. I'm not going to get in between this and all of that, but I can tell you they've been open to work with you to get the project done. I've talked to the mayor. They're open to working with you. And whatever we can work out with this housing, because guess what? 50 houses is one thing. I'm going to need hundreds more. Well, after I'm gone, we're going to need hundreds more. Not only in my community, but Ward 3, Ward 5, and some of these other communities that have been neglected over the years in our core of our city. So this model and what we work out to this has to carry forward. So that's my spiel. Next week I'm going to celebrate my 41st birthday. There's a lot of brothers out here that I see and I look at and I know from the community, we all grew up from that. And we also know some brothers that ain't here with us no more. So I'm proud to see y'all out there, man. I want to see y'all all working on these jobs. So when they come out, if we can work this thing out, I want to see everybody working. I want to see, I was just reading some mail from another one of our brothers in jail. When they get out, they're going to want to work. And all of those things. And I know that I can send them over there to get a chance. So I want to help you out in the house. And I went to the bat. I made calls, talked to people that, boy, I've done fought with hard. But only to see this diversity that's in this crowd. And we're going to keep on it and on it and on it, just like I'm telling you to this day. So I hope by this next week, Tuesday, when I celebrate this birthday, that we can come back with something that's going to move our community forward. A community that desperately needs these 50 houses. So that's all I'm going to say now, and I'm ready to keep moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Any further aldermen wish to speak on this ordinance? Further aldermen wish to speak? Hearing none. The motion on the table is for debate. There's a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Mr. Clerk.
I want to
2025-064, an ordinance authorizing sub-reciprocal agreement with Nehemiah Expansion, Inc. for the development of 50 new affordable single-family homes utilizing home investment funds in the amount not to exceed $1 million for the Office of Planning and Economic Development.
Mr. Clerk, we're going to take about 3-minute breather to let everybody that's leaving clear out. That's okay.
Is this different?
Yeah, that's not the same thing, but it's gotta go. What you think?
Huh? I thought, we'll see how they act, how both sides act. If they can come together and talk about it. Nehemiah might throw his hands up and walk away, I don't know. Huh? I told Don to come and sit next to you. He's scared. He is. I told him, oh shit, Sean, turn your phone off. I ain't on. Oh, shit. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you got time. About that.
Chair Donlin, I'm going to mute the mics until 6:01 to let the crowd come in.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if we could get back to our seats and cut the chatter so we can get the meeting moving along.
Motion for debate.
Second.
On the agenda, Mr. Clerk just read 2025-064. He's read the ordinance. Is there a motion?
Motion for debate.
Motion and a second for the debate. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The chair would like to take a moment to recognize Alderwoman Conley. I understand we have some guests with us this evening that you may be aware of.
Yes, I don't know if we have representatives from the Scouts of America. I'm saying it correctly, right? Scouting America, I'm sorry. And I know you didn't sign up to speak, so we won't make you come up and speak, but I just want to say thank you for coming in tonight. We always have interesting conversations at these council meetings. There's going to be a lot going on tonight, even after you saw civic participation in our decision process. So thank you for coming in tonight. Let me know if you need any help with any other badges. I will say, when I was a Girl Scout, we were very much building fires, camping, and canoeing. So I'm excited to see you girls here and hope you get to do that too. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Alderwoman, and thanks for joining us this evening. Mr. Clerk, why don't we go to CWLP?
CWLP 2025-037, an ordinance accepting bids and authorizing execution of a contract UW 25-12-54 iron fittings with core and main LP for Illinois Meter, Inc., in a total amount not to exceed $614,421.50 for the Office of Public Utilities.
Move for consent.
Second.
Motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any discussion, any discussion, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2025-038, an ordinance accepting bids and authorizing execution of contract UW 25-12-55, water main gate valves and tapping valves with core and main LP and Illinois Meter, Inc., for a one-year term in the amount not to exceed $569,826 for office utilities.
Move for consent.
Second.
Motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Mr. Clerk.
2025-039, an ordinance accepting bids and authorizing execution of contract number UW 25-1256, ductile iron pipe with McWayne Ductile in the amount not to exceed $1,847,161.16 for the Office of Public Utilities.
Move for consent.
Second.
Motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any discussion? Any discussion from any members of the council? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2025-040, an ordinance accepting bid and authorizing contract UE 25-10-36, generating facilities cleaning services, 3 years with Plant Maintenance Services, LLC, in the amount not to exceed $1,200,000 for the Office of Public Utilities.
Move for consent.
Second.
Motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2025-041, an ordinance accepting bids and authorizing contract UE 2511-50, purchase parts for interstate combustor with the Turbine Resource, Inc. and Allied Power Group, LLC, in the amount not to exceed $1,091,340 for the Office of Public Utilities.
Move for
Consent.
Second.
Motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2025-042, an ordinance approving the amended professional services agreement with Hanson Professional Services, Inc. for engineering design services to relocate the water main in relation to the Railroad Consolidated Project and authorizing additional funding in the amount of $24,900 for a total amount not to exceed $124,500 for the Office of Public Utilities.
Second.
Motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any discussion on this ordinance? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Public Works, 2025-043, resolution for temporary closure of the portion of Illinois State Routes 97 and 29 Jefferson Street from 9th to 5th Streets for the St. Patrick's Day Parade on March 15th, 2025 for the Office of Public Works.
Move to
Motion for
consent.
Second.
Motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Remember, crack o' noon.
2025-044, an ordinance authorizes professional services agreement with Crawford Murphy and Tilley, Inc. for rainfall and sewer flow monitoring services throughout the city in the amount not to exceed $150,000 for the Office of Public Works.
Move to consent.
Second.
Motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any discussion, any discussion, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2025-045, an ordinance authorizing an intergovernmental agreement with a payment to the State of Illinois Department of Transportation in the amount of $566,950 for the 5th Street reconstruction between Spruce Streets and Ash Street, MFT Section 24, State 00RS, for the Office of Public Works.
Motion for consent?
Second.
Motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any discussion, any discussion, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Mr. Clerk.
2025-046, a supplemental resolution notifying the State of Illinois of Transportation that motor fuel tax funds in the amount of $566,950 may be used for the 5th Street reconstruction project between Spruce and Ash Streets under MFT Section 24, State 00RS for the Office of Public Works.
Motion for consent?
Second.
Motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any discussion on this ordinance? Any discussion, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
General City Business, 2025-047, an ordinance appointing Jeffrey G. Cox to the office of Alderman for Ward 1.
Move to debate.
Second.
Motion and a second for the debate agenda. Any discussion from the council?
Yeah,
Mr. Hanauer.
I believe Mr. Cox is here, and I want to take this time to congratulate him on his appointment, and at the chair's pleasure, could we have him come up and we can grill him for a little bit?
Mr. Cox, if you don't mind, come to the podium, introduce yourself, and tell us a little bit about yourself and why in the world you want to do this.
Excuse me. Well, first of all, thank you very much to all the council members and to Mayor Busher for the opportunity to be here. Born and raised in Sangamon County, I came to Springfield, officially moved to Springfield in 2009. I moved to Ward 1 in 2018 with my family, my wife Megan, and then I've got 3 kids. Springfield's been an important part of my life as far as I can remember. I was born here. The only time I left was for college and law school and came right back. So I've already, and I apologize, I'm kind of getting over a cold, so I normally don't sound quite so old Western style here. But, excuse me. Over the past few weeks, it's been kind of a whirlwind, as I'm sure you all understand. But I've had constituents already reaching out to express their concerns, their congratulations, their thoughts on the city and where the city needs to go from here. And I just want to be a part of that. I want to keep Springfield great, and I want my kids to be able to grow up in a nice, safe neighborhood and a nice, safe town. So I really appreciate the opportunity, and I look forward to your support. And happy to answer any questions if anybody has any.
Thank you, Mr. Cox. Does any member of the council wish to ask Mr. Cox a question? Alderwoman Conley.
Thank you. Just more of a statement. I just want to let you know, first of all, thank you for taking the time to talk this weekend and give a little bit more background on you. Just want to let you know the only people I've heard from are 2 Ward 1 residents who expressed support for your appointment. So again, thank you for stepping up to put your name into this horseshoe ring.
Well, thank you. And I should point out, too, I think I've had pretty good conversations with everybody on the council, so I appreciate that time. And I'm always available, obviously, so if you ever want to chat, let me know.
Thank you. Thank you, Alderwoman. Anyone else wish to ask Mr. Cox a question while he's here? I'm sure he'll be here next week as well. Seeing no further discussion. Want to say something? Okay. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of the debate agenda for next week, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. We'll see you next week.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk.
2025-048, an ordinance authorizing the increase of number of Class B1 liquor licenses by 1 on A to Z Realty Investments, LLC, 100 DBA A to Z Bargains located at 313 North Grand Avenue East.
Move consent.
Second. Motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any discussion, any discussion, any discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Yes, Mr. Hanauer.
I would like to call for omnibus vote on all these liquor licenses, 2025-049, and it looks like 50 through 56? Yeah. Wow.
Second that.
So the motion was for an omnibus vote for 2025-049 through 56, correct?
Yes.
I seconded.
And there's a second. Any discussion regarding that? This is just to put it on omnibus, and then our fine clerk has to read all of these. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Mr. Clerk, will we read the ordinances for the record?
2025-049, an ordinance to increase the number of Class D liquor licenses by 1 for Zumi Rotary and Bar LLC, DBA Zumi, located at 3061 Wabash Avenue, Suite B. 2025-050, an ordinance to decrease the number of Class AA liquor licenses by 1 due to the non-renewal of a Class AA license by the Keg Incorporated, DBA The Keg, located at 2028 South 11th Street. 2025-051, an ordinance to decrease the number of Class A liquor licenses by 1 for Conn's Hospitality Group Incorporated, DBA The Inn at 835, located at 835 South 2nd Street. 2025-052, an ordinance authorizing decrease of number of Class D liquor licenses by 1 due to the non-renewal of the Class D license by Idle Hours Holdings LLC, DBA Springfield Carriage Company, located at 724 East Edward Street. 2025-053, an ordinance authorizing a decrease in number of Class D liquor licenses by one due to the closure of the business DePurials, Inc., DBA DePurials, located at 518 East Adams Street. 525-054, an ordinance authorizing a decrease in number of Class D liquor licenses by one due to the non-renewal of Class D license by Tequero El Pololo, got me on that one, DBA Tequero El Pololo, located at 635 West Jefferson Street. 2025-055, an ordinance to decrease the number of Class E liquor licenses by one due to the non-renewal of the Class E licenses by Jerk Shop on Wheels, LLC, DBA Jerk Shop Go, located at 219 South Fifth Street. 2025-056, an ordinance to decrease the number of Class K liquor licenses by one due to the non-renewal by PHP Springfield Receivership Services, LLC, DBA The State House Inn, located at 101 East Adams Street.
Motion for consent?
Second.
Motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Mr. Clerk.
2025-057, an ordinance authorizing payment in the amount of $26,621.75 to Paul Byers, a current City of Springfield firefighter, for settlement of a workers' compensation claim in the case number 24-WC-027963.
Move to consent.
Second.
Motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2025-058, an ordinance authorizing a tentative agreement between the City of Springfield Office of Public Utilities and the International Brotherhood of Teamsters Local 916 for security employees from July 1, 2023 through June 30th, 2026.
Move consent.
Second.
Motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2025-059, an ordinance authorizing acceptance of a proposal under RFP CS 2541 and execution of an agreement with Nehemiah Expansion NFP for a purchase city-owned property consisting of 41 parcels in the amount of $20,500 for the Office of Budget and Management.
Motion for consent.
Second.
Motion and a second for consent agenda. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2025-060, an ordinance authorizing acceptance of a proposal under RFP CS 2541 and execution of an agreement with Demetrius Krigley for the purchase of city-owned property consisting of one vacant lot located at 827 South 17th Street in the amount of $500 for the Office of Budget and Management.
Mr. Chair, I've been notified that we need to withdraw this motion, withdraw this ordinance, 2025-060. I make a
Motion for withdrawal. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2025-061, an ordinance authorizing accepting the proposal under RFP 2541 and execution of an agreement with Nathan Nelson for the purchase of city-owned property consisting of one vacant lot at 1607 East Glen Avenue in the amount of $500 for the Office of Budget and Management.
Motion for consent.
Second.
Motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2025-062, an ordinance authorizing execution of a subreciprocal agreement number 25SR0016 with authorizing payment to the Boys and Girls Clubs of Central Illinois for property located at 300 South 15th Street, utilizing community development block grant funds in the amount not to exceed $359,765.59 through the Office of Planning and Economic Development.
Motion for consent.
Second.
Motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2025-065, an ordinance accepting RFP CV 25-39 and authorizing a contract in the amount of $99,876.54 with P.H. Broughton and Sons for the Route 66 Carpenter Park Segment Alignment Project pursuant to the DCEO Route 66 4.0 grant for the Springfield Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Move for consent.
Second.
Motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any discussion, any discussion, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2025-066, an ordinance authorizing RFP CV 25-50 and authorizing a contract in the amount of $74,261 with Ace Sign Company for the Neon Sign Trail project pursuant to the DCEO Route 66 4.0 grant for the Springfield Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Motion for consent.
Second.
Motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any discussion on this ordinance? Any discussion, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Mr. Clerk.
2025-067, an ordinance authorizing professional services agreement in the amount of $82,700 with Central Illinois Communications, DBA Illinois Times, for the 2025 Visitors Guide and Maps Pads in FY26 for the Springfield Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Motion for consent.
Second.
Motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2025-068, an ordinance authorizing additional payment of $12,797.87 for the total amount not to exceed $560,316.78 to No Inc. under contract NB 23-38-1C for the replacement of two existing public elevators at Lincoln Library and authorizing a transfer of funds in the amount of $12,797.88 for the Lincoln Library.
Motion for consent.
Second.
Motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any discussion? Alderman Gregory.
Just real quick, Director Harrison, no, you ain't gotta get up. I just wanna compliment you on keep working on them elevators and getting them fixed. Is small as it seems is really a big thing, and those parts were old and stuff, and it was causing great angst. That's gonna be my word for the night for some of our residents. So thank you, I appreciate that.
Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Seeing no further ordinances before the council this evening, we're going to move on the agenda to unfinished business. Does any member of the council have unfinished business? Hearing none, any new business to come before the council?
Chair.
Alderman Gregory.
Yes, back to that, the ordinance and table committee, I believe Mr. Hall is here to speak on that if we wanna.
Alderman, he's under the public comments if you want.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that all right, Alderman?
Thank you, yes, sir.
Okay.
I just wanna make sure we don't
No,
miss.
thank you for bringing that up. We don't want to forget somebody. New business, any new business? Alderwoman Purchase.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to remind everyone that we're celebrating Community Appreciation Day at the Kidsium this Saturday, February 15th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Join us as we celebrate you at Kidsium Community Appreciation Day, and it is free admission for everyone. So please bring your families out. And then also I did want to mention we have a meeting. Is Ms. Julia here from OPID?
She just left.
She just left. Oh, Miss Amy, can you come up to announce the meeting for Thursday, February 13th? I want to make sure everybody knows, and I've shared it on my Facebook for our 5-year plan.
We are having the second meeting of our 5-year consolidated plan for our CBDG money. It is at Visions 1908 at 5:30 on Thursday night. If you can't make the meeting, we have an online survey that you can use a QR code to get to. We're using some technology with that. It is on our social media for both the city and for OPED. It's been advertised in the newspapers. We also, during that meeting, will be talking and announcing and re-announcing our cannabis grants being open. And we also are very excited as of today, and I do not want to misquote the dates. The flyer was literally coming off the press as I walked out. But we are setting up 2 dates to have special meetings for those as well, so we can assist those who have questions, both residential and business, about their cannabis grants. And one will take place yet this month, and one will take place in March, well prior to the deadline. One will be during the day, and one will be in the evening. So again, we're trying to do those out in the community and being very thoughtful and expressive of how we can help. And I will tell you right now, the OPED office is a revolving door. We have so many people coming in, calling, asking a few questions, coming in to check the documents that are required for those cannabis grants. And we're able to go through that with them. If they do not have a computer, we're helping them log in and putting it in ourselves. So again, we are, if nothing else, setting ourselves up for a lot of applicants to review. But that's exciting because people are learning about it. And then finally, Julia Griffin, who is our new TIF and cannabis coordinator for our business, is going around in the cannabis area and visiting businesses with those flyers as well. And she started that late this afternoon, and we'll continue that for the next couple weeks. So thank you so much. And you guys will all get the dates and that flyer. Literally, I'll be sending it to Tim on Thursday for you all.
Thank you,
Okay?
Director. Anything
Thank you.
further, Alderwoman?
No, thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Alderman Rockford.
Yes, being that I brought up last week about shoveling your sidewalks, Director, I don't know if you want to speak on it, but we are expecting some snow, so please, keep in mind you are responsible for your sidewalks. Shovel your sidewalks if we do get the snow they're predicting. But, Dave, if you want to speak on it a little bit, or.
We do have a forecast for a snow event for tomorrow, basically. The forecast that I have seen called for a possibility of the precipitation starting as early as 4 or 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. Should be in the form of snow, although we're going to be very close to the freezing line. South of us, it's probably going to be freezing rain. About 11 o'clock, the snow's really going to start coming down heavily, and that could snow that way all the way into the afternoon and the early evening. The first predictions were for 6, 7, 8 inches of snow. It's been revised to about 2.5, 3 now. But we are going to get some snow. And I would ask that the ordinance says that by 10 o'clock the day after snow event, we ask folks to have their sidewalks cleared, and appreciate if folks would do that.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Director. You have anything further, Alderman Rockford?
I got a follow-up.
Alderman Hanauer.
Yeah,
If
Director, this is just
Alderman
a
Gregory, you
follow-up.
okay with
This
that?
is just a-
Absolutely.
This is just a follow-up. Could you remind people at what depth do we go into the neighborhoods?
Usually it's about 6 inches.
Yeah.
About
So
6
I just-
inches is, that's when we.
People don't see trucks at 2 inches, they know why.
Yes, sir.
All right,
It's
thank you.
about 6.
Sorry, Alderman.
Alderman Gregory.
Ain't no problem. I would just, while you there, since we on snow, I got another topic, but, there is some areas though that I want to mention since we're on this topic that, around some schools, that's going to be their responsibility as well. And around, on the outside of businesses, that's going to be their responsibility as well. We get those questions a lot when we have snow. For instance, 11th Street, Harvard Park got to hit theirs. Along Wabash, I don't know if that's Carl Sandburg's responsibility, but that sidewalk there too has been brought to my attention as well. And I get it, right? I do snow and I get it, but I don't know what we do in those things, but kids are walking to school and.
Sure. The folks that we have working on the plows are specifically assigned to the schools in their area to clear the streets, to make sure that the streets, whether they're a major street or a minor street, that the streets immediately around the schools are cleared. For the most part, my understanding is that the schools themselves cleared the sidewalks that are adjacent to their property, but I would ask the folks who live in the general vicinity of a school, do the best that you can to clear the sidewalks so that the young folks can get to and from school as safely as possible.
Thank you, Director. Alderman Gregory, anything else on that
I
topic?
forgot my original question, so we'll move on. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Any further new business to come before the council? Hearing none, Mr. Clerk, I understand we have citizens' requests to address the committee this evening.
Yes, sir. Robert Frazier.
Mr. Frazier.
Good evening.
Good evening.
First of all, I want to apologize to the council and to the mayor that I think that I've done a pretty bad job of selling the CSA program. But I want you to know that the Clean Slate Advocate Laundry Program isn't for me. It's for the community. that has a need. And I have one request. And I don't know how to do it. It was good to hear. OPED is finally going to send people out into community to find out really what's going on and visit businesses that are actually doing things to help the community or try to do a business. But what we've found, because we stepped up our game, that finding out that people are visiting the program and getting the need met are coming from across the whole city. They're not just coming from southeast or east side of town. And what I would ask is, as individuals that are serving the community, is it hard for me to request that people stop by the facility to actually see what's going on? Because I can't explain it any differently. I just ask for you to just show up and look. Spend 2 minutes, 5 minutes, look around, talk to the people, whatever you want to do. But I can't talk anymore about it. I can't sell it to what it's actually doing for the community and changing lives just by doing laundry for somebody that doesn't have a way to do it for themselves. That's all I ask. Because I think that once you see it, I don't have to explain it. I don't have to explain it anymore, and I feel like I'm trying to convince you of something. Yes, we're working with OPED, we're working with the police department, we're working on with all of these agencies, but I guarantee you we will go from 4,000 to 10,000 as soon as it warms up, because more and more people are realizing that they can clean their house up, take care of disease and mold and different things like that, that they would not be able to do otherwise because they do not have the equipment or the money to do it. So if you can find it in your heart, a way to just step out of your comfort zone and come on over to the facility, whether I'm there or not, it's open 7 days a week. 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., 7 days a week. Stop by, check it out, and let me know what you think. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Frazier. Alderman Gregory, do you have a question to Mr. Frazier?
No, I don't. Just a general statement.
Yes,
I
sir.
remember what I was going to say now. And he helped me get back with that. But I have had some calls from businesses in our community who appreciate the outreach. And that's something that we've been pushing for, we've been preaching for some time. So, you know, as I give it, and I compliment Miss Riesling, Miss Amy, I'm going to say Miss Amy, and Julia, because they've been working hard. I know we give them some tough feedback. And they're taking it, and it's out there, and people, there's some excitement about the cannabis grant again, right? I can talk about everything that's happened in the past, but I'm trying to move forward. That's our motto, and they are doing a good job. We're opening up communication, and we're talking, and I think that's what we got to do is keep talking. If you know. And like I say, and I think I owe it to that department to say this, because I know I'm very, very, very hard on what we're trying to do. So I appreciate that. Julie, I appreciate y'all and the other people that work in OPED. So keep working. 'Cause you never know, I might be calling you. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Mr. Clerk.
Kaylee Freeman.
Happy Gulf of America Day to those who celebrate. Also, Joyful Lake, Illinois Day to those who celebrate that. This is real life, people. And here in Springfield, y'all are busy holding up some royal family nonsense because democracy has fallen. We have Elon Musk, a South African, shutting down our actual federal government. And our politicians are making jokes and crowning kings. Do you remember when we had such a lovely crowning of Mr. Redpath? We do. Last week was super cool, too, because we got to watch his daughter, the princess, I suppose, ask questions because we, the people, are sick of ruling families. She's part of the royal family. In that vein, I would like to congratulate the drug dealer who will soon lead Ward 1. Very on brand that he's a white man who legally sells cannabis while people sit in jail for lesser. Today, we will take a trip down memory lane because Hanauer brought it up. The Fulgenzi's corruption is only matched by that of the Redpath and Langfelders, the Springfield Real Housewives, if I may. The Fulgenzi's threw a big fit because my ward didn't want their son, who doesn't live here, to grow cannabis in a residential area. Ms. Fulgenzi got so upset that she threatened my alderwoman at the time. The Fulgenzi's apparently ensured that the TIF district doesn't touch their precious restaurant. Y'all love a corruption. The older white members of this committee come up here and say, oh, I've been here. That would embarrass me. Let's not forget that back in the early 2000s, y'all were doing the Illinois corruption dance. We had a mayor, rest in peace, that was doing insider trading. That's why, despite the criticism I have for my own alderwoman, I am proud of her for questioning the funding to Hanson, for always attempting to hold the older white dudes accountable. Hanson gets lots and lots of taxpayer money, and their study before the rail project was lacking, to say the least. They neglected to study how the construction would impact existing structures and infrastructure, which caused issues in my neighborhood, houses that were falling down, etc., while the organizers of the rail project made their money. They have only recently started doing work on railroads with this project, and I mean Hanson, like they were brand new at this. They also have plenty of money. Their CEO is incredibly rich. He could put some money up front. And I find it concerning that we expect poor people to have funding up front, but rich friends and politicians, here, have $1 billion. Heck, our own Rodney Davis made sure McDonald's got PPP forgiveness, but your nurses, doctors, teachers, pharmacists, and other skilled workers will never get student loan forgiveness. I'm going to tell you something about the owners of McDonald's. They're living high on the hog, and they get their handouts because they are friends and family with these shady politicians. And it's both sides. Aaron, seriously, who's giving you money? It's stressful to watch. Today, we put a drug dealer into power. I guess it'll be next week. Wasn't sure. He is an old white man, and I'm going to tell you something. If all of a sudden I have a cannabis grow in my very urban neighborhood, I'm going to know exactly who poured money into your pockets to get it there. I would also like to note that an old white man is making money off weed while people rot in prison, and this is colonizer behavior. In a city that won't pass Indigenous Peoples Day, it makes perfect sense. Congratulations, you all love a corruption. And your civility pledge is a lie. Some of you are here only to serve yourselves and to get your money, not to better our community.
Mr. Clerk, next speaker.
Jill Steiner.
Bill, hiding down there.
I come to you tonight representing ICON, which is the independent coalition of our neighborhoods, and I interact with most of you. We just want to share some comments about the budget and about how we might look at how we operate within the city in advance of our neighborhoods. ICON's motto is that you should not have to move to live in a better neighborhood, and 6 votes on the city council can bring change. For 2025, we've identified bulky item pickup and landlord registration as critical issues. Bulky item pickup, the contract for this service currently is held by Habitat for Humanity and will go out for RFP this spring. Our comments are not a reflection on Habitat, but the presumption in the budget that things will remain the same. In 2023, leading up to the municipal elections, 6 alderpersons and the mayor indicated in an ICON candidate survey that they would support expanding large item pickup to allow residents to place items curbside or alley side with weekly pickups, either collected by waste haulers or the city's Public Works Department. We understand the budget is tight and that timelines and viewpoints can be reprioritized once a candidate is elected. But we believe values and visions expressed by candidates are good faith representation. As it relates to large item pickup, there's no indication that discussion or research on this critical issue has been conducted. The general thinking appears to be start and end with, it'll be too much, and perhaps it will. The proposed budget says yes to the status quo without knowing the cost of an enhanced program. We request Public Works be directed to put a number on this type of service, which is common in communities our size, so there can be a proposal on the value and cost of the enhancement as it relates to the budget and perhaps a timeline for implementation. As far as landlord registration, we applaud the speed at which the city crafted and enforced an ordinance to address unlicensed massage parlors, 8 months. The city can be responsive and move with intent against those who do not follow rules, who contribute to unhealthy neighborhoods, and disregard a person's dignity and health. Let's follow up that success by using or enhancing existing ordinance and codes to address distressed and vacant properties or properties without garbage service. For example, the current garbage ordinance clearly states the property owner is responsible for garbage and having cans with secure lids, not the resident. 6 respondents supported this landlord registration in 2023. ICON requests a working group of stakeholders where residents' and neighbors' best interests are the central to the outcome. The working group should have a clear start and end date with a formal report outlining the whys, who, what, when, and how, or not. It's not clear to the residents or the neighborhoods whom this council is elected to represent what is the downside to having a landlord registration. Craft an ordinance or regulation to clearly identify who owns every property. You won't have to look far. Cities far and wide have been doing this for decades. ICON is looking for council members to step forward and champion these two critical neighborhood issues. We will work with you. We can connect you with colleagues in other communities who have these programs successfully running for both of these healthy neighborhood issues. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Steiner. Mr. Clerk?
Harvey Hall.
Mr. Hall, are you here?
Yes, he is. Go ahead, right there.
Good evening.
Good evening. Greetings to our mayor and city council. My name is Harvey Howell, president of B Neighbors Veterans Community and a proud United States Marine veteran. The last time B Neighbors Veterans Community addressed the city council, the ordinance to fund B Neighbors Resource Center was tabled during the meeting. City Clerk Redpath mentioned then Alderman Redpath, Award 1, expressed his desire not to see the ordinance die, explaining that when an ordinance is tabled, it often goes further. Similarly, Alderman Gregory stated that he didn't want the ordinance to fail either, but wanted more information to better understand the proposal, a request B Neighbors agreed to. B Neighbors Veterans Community believe it is essential that all city council members be fully informed about the mayor's office inquiry, which confirm our organization's transparency and adherence to all required protocols and procedures. Before you is a copy of the mayor's findings, along with the overview of the project. You have B Neighbors Veteran Community signed petition, the State Journal Register, Building and Zone Administration, the minutes of the Springfield City Council, Office of Planning and Economic Development, CDBG entitlement, Springfield Economic and Community Development Commission. All of those I just named off was approved. And the most prominent one is when the minutes of City Council, the project will pass 10-0 vote for the building and zoning of the project. After presenting our qualification and compliance with economic development entitlement program, Alderman Gregory inquired if B Neighbors had presented the Economic and Community Development Commission, had presented to the Economic and Community Development Commission at that time. We had not. However, we went before the commission and it was passed due to Alderman Sean Gregory request. I must emphasize that the finding from the mayor's office clearly demonstrates the transparency and compliance with our requirements. Additionally, I have included rendering complete B-Neighbor site. The building, I don't have that site of the place there, but you have the 18 houses on the cul-de-sac with a building on the side, which represents the 18 houses each veteran will live in with the Learning Technology Resource Center. What this is about is the Learning Technology Resource Center, okay? It's not about the houses. The houses are already going to be built. We spoke with IDA already, and they decided to waive the 10% that we need to go for the project. After they found out we having a hard time at City Council to get it passed due to confusion. And the confusion is that if the center is not built, the house is still going to be built. So what we are saying here at the City Council, that we're going to put the 18 veterans in these 18 houses that's guaranteed to be built. We close in 2 months on that, without the resource center to get all the treatment they need, the veterans need. So basically, we're leaving the veterans out there for bad. So we're here today asking the City Council to bring this to a vote. Vote on the Learning Technology Resource Center so that our veterans can have resources to better themselves. By saying no to this, the city is giving our message to the rest of the community that our veterans don't deserve not even a vote on this. And I know that's not how majority of us feel up here at on this circle. So we ask you to please bring this for a vote for the veterans' sake, that the future veterans know that when they leave to go out to service, they come back being a veteran, that their city will support them. So you're saying, by saying no again, you're saying go out there without help. We have no help for you at all. And we already been passed by the Economic Development Office, the entitlement grant, as you see in front of you. It just needed to be signed by the mayor and I to confirm it.
So, Mr. Hall, if you could wrap it up. I know we have one alderman that has pushed his button. Alderman Gregory.
That's it.
Thank you. Thank you, Harvey, for coming in. I'll say this. So throughout this process, when you first came with this, I held it because I wanted you to go out into the community and get your petitions. You said that you did that. How many petitions did you tell me that you received? It's on record. It's on record.
We got 93 signatures.
But how many did you tell me that you had?
I told you we had.
You had 300, right?
Right.
Okay. That's now 93 and 300 is two different things.
It was 2
Would you
years
agree
later.
with me?
I knocked on so many doors, it felt like 300.
But okay, you know what? I'll give you that.
That's what that was. I was just going on top of my mind.
I get it.
Matter of fact, if you look on the petition, you'll see where not only I was out there getting them signed, other veterans out there knocking on doors also getting signed.
For 93.
And the thing is though, what you're saying is, let's go ahead and because we building the houses, 18 houses coming up.
Can I just finish? I gave you 5 minutes. I ain't interrupt.
Yeah.
That's all. So you said you had 300 multiple times. You came up here, even after you knowing that you had 90. Can I just have my 5 minutes? Multiple times you came up here on the record and said, I got 300 signatures, I got 300 signatures. That's why we passed it, because you said that you had went out into the community and did that, but you didn't. And then the 93 signatures that you turned into the clerk, Lesko, that took me a while to get. I understand why, because that 93 went down to 60-something, if you count the ones that live in the area. Some of those people, you can't go get a petition for somebody on the west side about something over here. That's disingenuous. Hold on.
If you look at the address, it's all in the same community.
Please let Alderman Gregory finish.
That's not true. I have the petitions. That's not true. Okay? So that's why we approved that, based off of what you were supposed to go out and do, and you did not do that.
Right.
Then one of the neighborhood associations knew anything about it. They all told you together in one meeting that they did not want this, and this is not, the ones who did sign your petition took their names off the petition, even took you down even further, because they said that's not what you told them. You're selling, and I think it's also disingenuous to say that this is a veterans situation when it's not. You want it to be. You want it to be, but it's more of a unhoused situation, and we want to put unhoused population in tiny homes out there. I read your whole thing. It says chronically ill, homeless individuals. That's what it says. Now, we just did the homeless count, January 2025. How many veterans? How many veterans?
You must know.
Not
that.
many. Less than 3. So this narrative that this city of Springfield is not taking care of their veterans is not true. Miss Penny does a great job with what she's doing. She does a great job. She's been doing it for such a long time. But you come here for,
She does a
but
great job.
you
I
came
was a
here for
visitor.
me to take a action.
She does an
Right.
outstanding job.
So based on misinformation that you gave to me, I'm not gonna bring it out. If you would like me to withdraw the ordinance, I can do that, so you can finally have a decision from us that we're not gonna pass this. I'm not gonna vote for it. I'm not gonna push to vote for it. If you want me to just take an action on it.
We'd like to vote on it.
Murdoch,
Please, Alderman, go.
can I still, withdraw this ordinance right now since we haven't adjourned?
Yes, we can, because it's on the agenda, so we can take
Okay.
action on it. We would need to remove it from the table first.
Okay.
And then you can do your motion to withdraw.
Okay. So I motion to, remove from the table, and I motion
Move
to.
it from being held. I don't think it was ever tabled.
It wasn't, it wasn't tabled, so I can move
Yep.
for it to be withdrawn, am I correct?
That's correct.
I motion to, withdraw this ordinance.
Alderman Gregory motions to withdraw agenda item number 2024-333. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Any discussion? Alderwoman Conley.
And thank you, Alderman Gregory, for explaining your thought on that one. I just want to be clear, because what you said tonight is something very new that we hadn't heard before. You have the funds to build these 18 houses no matter what.
Yes. See what yes.
I just, so, and I think Alderman Gregory pointed out some real concerns here where what sort of supportive services are available to individuals who are currently unhoused, who would be going into these homes? And are those services, what are you planning for those services? And then, because what you're talking about with this center is technology and kind of jobs training and skill development. And I understand that, but that's different from what supportive housing looks like. If I could just kind of understand what that is a little better.
Can I address that? My name is Eric Hansen, ERICHANSON. I'm the attorney for the project. And in terms of answering the question, Harvey's called it a Learning and Technology Resource Center, but it actually is, that is the place where Memorial Behavioral Health would be conducting counseling. It's used not just for job training, but it's also used for those supportive services. The idea of this is the 18 tiny homes, rather than putting people in barrack-style dorms or an apartment building, it was a unique concept thinking, do 18 individual independent homes for these folks. And then as part and parcel of that, it's very important to be able to provide those supportive services. That's what the technology center is for, the Learning and Technology Center. I think Harvey was trying to get away from the idea of saying a community center, because it isn't for the community, it's for these residents.
Those residents, yeah.
But that's where the supportive services would go. Memorial Behavioral Health, who else was?
Property manager there?
No, I mean in terms of who else. We've got MOUs with other supportive services.
So you do have
case
existing
management?
MOUs for case management? and-
Absolutely. Yeah, we have MOUs with all those, and I think the other thing is, with Alderman Gregory mentioned about the homeless, the study that was done. This isn't just, we're not talking simply about the homeless veteran that you might see sitting laying under the bridge or sleeping under the bridge or on the park bench. We did a market analysis, and IDA went through this with us as well, and it was supported by them. This is also the folks the veteran that comes back that's having issues, and they're jumping from couch to couch at their friends' apartments. The folks that, we're not talking about, this doesn't have to be someone who's homeless out on the streets. There's a lot of homelessness and unhoused all over. And there was a significant more need than 3 or less than 3 in this market analysis. That's why IDA funded it. If IDA looked at this and said, there's no need here, we wouldn't have received the funding. And as far as your other question about, do we have the funding now or what have you, while this is languished since August, Mr. Hall obviously has been feeling quite a bit of angst, to use Mr. Councilman Gregory's comment. But talk to IDA. We're trying to get across that challenge, and basically IDA has said, we will waive the requirement for the resource center and let you build the homes. However, our preference isn't to do that. The preference would be to have that center there, because that is really important for the supportive services. So that's why we're here. It's been sitting on there for 6 months, and we thought we'd like to have a vote on it.
Thank you. Alderman Gregory, I want you to know this is in your ward, and I support you in that. I think there has been a little bit of a shifting. I mean, because even in the original proposal you brought forward, Harvey, you were talking more about technology and training. So we didn't know that this is the first we've heard about MOUs with supportive services. I would hope that you're still going to be doing that, whether or not there's a building in place. Because again, I think this is very similar to well, I mean, this is in Alderman Gregory's backyard. So I listen to him. I understand what he's hearing from people, and I want to give him my support on that. But that said, you make some very compelling points about who needs housing in our community and what it looks like to provide those supportive services around that. So I hope that this is not an ending, but actually just maybe a different way to look at this, and that as long as those homes are going in, that there will be ways to support our neighbors, our residents who are going to be moving into them. And I thank you for your dedication to working on providing more housing. We know that's an unmet need in our community across the board. I mean, we need more housing. So thank you for that.
Alderman Hanauer.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Harvey, it's tough for us to vote against homeless vets. But in this case, Alderman Gregory's heard from Alderman probably how many neighborhood associations that aren't keen on this resource center or whatever you want to call it. My advice would be, number one, if you build the houses, prove to the neighborhoods that it's going to be a good place. Because they have reservations. All our neighborhoods, and it goes in every ward. When something new's built, it worries the neighbors, and I don't blame them. You put a lot of money into your homes. And my recommendation would be if you go forward with the building of the houses, build them and prove to the neighborhoods that you guys are going to do it, the right way and everything. I think early on it probably would have been much better to get the neighborhoods, and what I know a lot of us try to do is get the neighborhoods and get everybody to sit down at the table and work, and I'm sure Alderman Gregory tried to do that, but that's my recommendation. Right now, I'm gonna back Alderman Gregory on this, because I don't know the neighborhoods that are around there. I know that they're not happy about what's going on, and so I'm supporting Alderman Gregory. But you can always come back but you got to get the blessing of the neighborhoods first. Got to get the blessing. That's number one. So, thank you.
Alderman Gregory.
You know, I know we mentioned, I'll leave it alone on that note, but, you know, we say MOUs on Memorial and all of those things, but Memorial Mental Health, we talk about this all the time, how they don't have enough help and can't do the job we ask them to do right now. When Continuum Care come up here and do their presentation, I don't see Be Neighbors because the services to support people are not there. Where Robert Williams at? He gonna come here tonight and fuss at me about getting somewhere to stay. And he does not need a one-bedroom house in one of the hotels that we putting people in. See, we don't be real about it. We like to paint a pretty picture like, oh, we're gonna do this, it's gonna be great. It is hard to get those type of situations going. I got police lights right outside of places right now where we're trying to house folks. So this is not about veterans. This is not what your application say. It don't say nothing close to what you up here describing. It says chronically homeless, chronically ill, ill homeless people. That's what it says. It don't even say, or veterans.
No, it says
It gives the options. Okay, so how many chronically ill homeless veterans do we have in Springfield?
There are more than
Exactly.
three. Have you talked to people? You're going to let me finish, Councilman?
All right.
There
So
are more than three. We did a market analysis. There are a lot more than
Do your
three
thing.
that are veterans that are needing housing
Alderman, were you
and
through?
supportive
Yes,
services.
I'm done. Thank you.
Sir, would you like to respond?
Yes. I want Alderman Gregory to know that my synopsis, which I presented to the city, is all about homeless veterans only. That's all it states, homeless veterans only, about that. So from the beginning, it was all about homeless veterans. That's all our project been about, by me being a veteran myself, right? And then he said how many veterans are in Springfield. Well, Penny, I went down to visit her. Her whole project is about homeless veterans. They transition. Her problem is that she said that when they transition over to getting permanent homes, they usually come back. Or some of you make it through the program to even transition out of that. So the need is here in Springfield. Just imagine our project together, her veterans transition over, come to an already permanent home, already built. And the whole thing is that even though like Hanan said that he said no on it because he's supporting Gregory, but what about the veterans that are going to be there? Because we have the okay to go ahead and build, because we all have our building zoning to build. So you can't stop the building other 18 houses. Only thing we ask the city to is to help support this. He said, go out there and build a house and show the people in the neighborhood that you can keep it up, whatever. But how can we do that without the learning technology resource, the resource center, for them to come to get resources for their addictions and everything they need there at that center? That center is the gold mine to the project. When I first did this project, the first time we put this application in, they wouldn't give us the money for the resource center. And guess what I did to my team? I put them together and said, nope, we're not going to do this. I'm not going to put those veterans out there without resources. I passed up the whole deal. And so we did it again. And then when we knew about the 10%, and I went through the proper channels like I was supposed to in this city council, went over to economic development and talked with Julia them over there in economic development. I've got the application. We filled that out. We was approved for the $400,000 that we asked for to get this center built, right? And so the only thing that was left for me to go to the mayor's office, sign it, and then we built the Learning Technology Resource Center. But what happened was, at the meeting we came to, they wanted me to come to the next meeting. And we did that, and it was tabled by Sean Gregory. So this whole thing is not about the housing. It's about the resources for the veterans that's going to be out there. That's all we ask the city council to do, is support the veterans that are going to be out there. Because we going ahead with Ida was telling me, well, I was told them all again, right, about that, since we can't get the Learning Technology Resource Center, right? When they said, well, waive the 10%, don't worry about it, build it anyway. I was like, wait. I said, we still need resource centers for the veterans there. And they convinced me by saying, and just, you got, what, a year before everything be built? That's a year time for you trying to get the money to do the resource center. But why go elsewhere to get a resource center? We already been approved for the $400,000 right here in the funds are here at the city. So you snatching that away and saying, well, go out there and find you $400,000 more to build your resource center. And everything I presented for you is the truth. Is the honest God truth about our mission, everything we doing here.
Sir, we have a couple other aldermen that wish to speak. Alderman Williams.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I think we're missing the whole point. It's a good program. If they had the center, that would make it even a better program. But the issue is the location.
Right.
And we won't talk about it, but we need to talk about it. So when you look at Ward 3, which is adjacent to this property, when I look at Glen Eyre, and I've heard from Glen Eyre, I've heard from Adloff Estates, I got family and friends that live in Stratford. That's 3 pretty big neighborhood associations. All 3 of them are against this, and you are sitting here saying, well, I'm going to put 18 homes no matter what all these other homeowners think. Now, I'm not Sean, but if I was Sean, I'm going after the zoning and the kill off because you got your approval off of false information. That's how you get your 400 to say tonight, I'm going to just build them anyway with just the 18. But Harvey, you know you shouldn't. Why not find another location? That's a question.
Oh.
It's not feasible, Councilman.
Why?
Because we've already gone through the process. We've gone through this whole thing with the property. We've gone through zoning. This isn't a surprise to anyone in terms of building the 18 homes or the resource center.
Everyone didn't know it was false information from the beginning.
The false information that you're referring to, I think I'm not going to agree to that.
Well, and I'm not going to agree to go against the neighbors
Okay.
and the neighborhoods
But what
that are there. That's a lot of people, and you're talking 18 homes versus several hundred homes.
So what should be built there instead?
Whatever's going on now, they've been living with just fine. It don't mean that your project has to be there. Carlson early on in the debate said, bring them to Ward 7 in. Have you talked to the alderman?
Well, in our next phase, maybe we will.
Well, I'm not asking you about the next phase. I'm asking you about this project right now that you knew it was in committee and being held. Have you talked to any of these other aldermen about a location in their ward? When you knew, both of you, that we have got this challenge on our hand. We got these neighborhood associations saying not just no, but hell no, and then we got you guys. And then you throw the building in there. So then Ida gets slick, but Ida don't live here either, by the way. They don't have to look at whatever you do every day either. I'm not arguing the need. I'm not arguing the goodness as a veteran myself of the program. I'm arguing disrespect to the neighborhood associations that are around that who have clearly said no, and over 6 months, have you talked to any of the other places to start looking for another location? If it's such a need, I think you would have.
Well, the problem is you have time and money invested in this project already at that location. That's the biggest issue there. And it isn't a surprise. From 2021 until now.
Never said it was a surprise. We agree. We know it's in committee. Can't be a surprise.
Also been out there publicly. So the attitude, the idea.
So the heck with the people, right?
That's not what I'm saying.
Well, what are you saying? They're telling you no.
Let me finish. I would tell you what I'm saying.
What are you saying? No. What are you saying?
What I'm saying.
Be civil.
What I'm saying.
I didn't sign it, but go ahead.
Alderman, you ready for him to answer? Alderman Williams?
He's ready. I'm ready.
Go ahead, sir.
What I'm saying is that this whole process has been a public process. From the zoning to the economic committees to this meeting, everything about this has been public. And there weren't those objections previously. It wasn't until recently when this was brought up, that the neighborhood said, whoa, wait, what's going on in there? We don't like that. And I think all of you could probably agree. If you looked at every single NIMBYism that came up for any project, nothing would get done.
You know, I'm gonna end it with this. These three neighborhood associations in this area that we're talking about is what we would call a part of the good part of the east side, where it's organized, the homes are well kept and taken care of, and people really care and really know what they're doing with their homes. And yet you choose that location to come, and they've been public too. They've been saying no publicly. You've been knowing, and the public's been knowing they don't want it there. So it's no surprise to you that they're saying no either. And I think it's disrespectful, and it's unfortunate that you guys keep pushing the same location. Good program, bad location. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Carlson.
Thank you. You know, I think Alderman Williams is correct. I think we are missing the whole point of the thing. You know, I want to support the project. I'm hoping things can get worked out. I mean, I'm looking at the big picture of this whole thing, and I've been doing some research. I mean, we've been dealing with the unhoused homeless situation up here for 6 or 7 months. We hear it, you know, every Tuesday night. And it seems like in some bigger cities, Chair, I mean, it's the number one thing to help the homeless is to get them housed in some way, some fashion, so then they can come and get the resources, all the groups, Josh Sable's group, Helping Hands, who, they're out and away from downtown. I visited a couple of weeks ago. The people, the residents there are finding a way out there. So I don't think it's the issue of just being too far out. To me, it's just one positive step down that path of getting, whether it's, now I am confused whether it's homeless veterans or not. I've heard both today, I've heard both before, but really at the end of the day, it's about unhoused and homeless. And, I want to try to support this thing. I've had, VFW halls in my ward, and I've met with them, they've called me, and, but my gosh, for the last 6 or 7 months, we have heard from the constituents, the residents of Springfield, we need to do something with the homeless. And to me, I mean, this is one small step down that path to get them housed and get to help provide the services that they need.
And if I can briefly respond, it is for homeless veterans, and our opinion is this will be an asset to the community.
No, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Rockford.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So yes, I have spoke to Ida about locations in the north end of town. I don't want to take away if this is a good thing for the east side of town, the southeast side of town. But yes, there's been talk to Ida about a couple locations in the north end of town. Whatever happens tonight, I would go back and talk to the director. I spoke to her. So again, there's a couple spots. If it doesn't get built on the southeast side of town, maybe there's something in the north end of town. So yes, it has been brought up about different locations. So I'll end with that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Alderman. Just I have a brief question of the two gentlemen. If this is successfully withdrawn this evening, can you move forward with the residential project that has been talked about all night and before?
Can
you move forward with building the houses?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? For clarification, it was a while back. The motion is to withdraw ordinance agenda item number 2024-333, and there was a second. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of withdrawing the ordinance signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Thank you. Mr. Murdoch, before we end, Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes, please.
Mr. Murdoch, will you draft me an ordinance to revoke the zoning petition? And I'll provide you the information of why.
Yes, we can talk after the meeting, and that'll be prepared.
Appreciate it.
Okay, back to new business. Any further new business to come before the council? And back to citizens' request to address the committee. Mr. Clerk, it's been a while.
Robert Williams. Robert Williams.
I don't see him.
Ken Pesha.
Just walked in.
What was that? That was the longest 5-minute public comment period I've ever seen. Did we pull that off a held item that wasn't even on the open agenda and spend 30 minutes talking about it? Is that how Robert's Rules works?
No, it was on the agenda, Mr.
It was on the agenda. Wasn't it on the hold agenda? It was on the active agenda. You guys moved to public comment with something left on the agenda you didn't cover. That's what you're telling me? I don't know how to read? All right.
No, I didn't say that, Mr. Pesha.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, though, so what I said was an accurate statement, wasn't it then? It was, wasn't it? So I'm not sure why we're having this back and forth. That was an accurate statement.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. It's a little frustrating. The rules seem arbitrary here in this council chamber when we feel like enforcing them or deciding that they exist. It gets really frustrating week after week that I go to commission meetings, county boards, and all this stuff, and you know the one thing I see is that there is a lack of consistency from the adults in charge. It is deeply frustrating for someone like me who craves rules to be applied equally. I might seem like the kind of guy who likes to skirt the rules, but that's only because I watch the world do it. What do you think, I'm going to follow every single guideline and ordinance because you guys don't? I mean, quite frankly, the idea that I live in a city where we know for a fact that there are rape parlors in the city and we're celebrating at 11 when we know more are still operating, and that in fact 452 South Grand, who we've sent footage to a sitting alderwoman, Connolly, regarding women being dropped off repeatedly at that closed location, the former location of Golden Spa. I don't think I need to elaborate as to why 5 individual women are dropped off individually 5 different times at a formerly closed rape parlor by the madam from 88 Relaxing Massage. I mean, that's information that the people, I didn't just pull that out of my back pocket. That was sent to an alderwoman, and it was not forwarded to the sitting police chief or the people running the investigation in the city. That's the kind of inconsistency that frustrates me. Because yet again, we see that kind of like failure to really use the power that is in control in the proper ways. Something with that show of force I saw earlier is the kind of thing that upsets me more because they showed up at the end of the process. They submitted a bid and it failed. Nehemiah homes should be built. 50 homes on the east side is one of the most desperately needed resources I can imagine. You know, I like to drive around and smoke sometimes, and I'll drive around my side of town, and one of the things I've watched for years is those vacant lots become more numerous. It's a ride to remind me as to why I am so upset all the time, because that is a neighborhood my friends, my family, and people I've never met grew up in. Decades of that. And some union shows up here and tries to act like they care about my neighborhood. It disgusts me because they don't give a damn about those houses being built. They want the money, just like everybody else. And I'm tired of systems of white supremacy being run off a profit system, because if anybody thinks that they're not a part of that system, then you need to pay attention to what you're doing. Because even if you yourself are not a racist, behaviors, systems, continual progression of decades-long planning that has been in action to make my side of town a barren area are well in effect, and they continue. So when we talk about who's going to be doing the work, the bigger concern is, why should it matter? Those homes need built. That tax revenue is desperately needed. And playing these petty, childish games about who gets the contract is the kind of thing that continues to force change to never come. Those houses will not be built if we wait even longer. We have an opportunity to make real change in this city. And if we fail to do that because we're more worried about upsetting a union, who cares? Stick a rat outside and cry me a river. Because quite frankly, my neighborhood has been suffering for decades. And I don't care who I upset along the way to get those homes built, the police to stop harassing young black men, and for other terrible things to be visited on that side of town as though any of us deserve it simply for the crime of being poor. It is deeply, deeply upsetting that I miss county, because I'm signed up to speak over there too for a number of good reasons, but we elaborated on something that was not on the open agenda for an extended period of time, and that should have been handled behind closed doors, and I touched on that last week. It looks unprofessional when we don't have these discussions, and that's not an attack on the people who had the discussion. It's on the idea that too many things don't happen in a way that would look organized, professional, and in a way that would make us think that people know what they're doing. Because why would a union show up here that late? They already bid. What say do they have in this matter? Those homes need built. I don't care what they want. I don't care what their rationale is, because they're going to try and impede the process so they can get their share of the pie. And that kind of greed in the city has ran rampant for far too long.
Thank you, Mr. Pasha. Mr. Clerk?
Deanna Roberts.
For the third week, I'm requesting the front-facing camera, but I'm not going to give my whole spiel because I'm tired of saying it. Do not obey in advance. Burning books is not just an analogy, and it never has just been an analogy. Step 1, undermine democratic institutions. Weaken checks and balances the system of branches created to sustain equal power dynamics through the layers of government. Back in 1933, Hitler created the Fire Decree. This emergency law limited the German population's right to freedom of speech, press, and assembly, giving Hitler the ability to imprison political opponents and allowing the overriding of state and local laws in government. Media manipulation, fear tactics, and exploitation of crises helped Hitler gain the trust of people by spreading false narratives, such as the Reichstag fire, where the fire that burnt down a parliament was blamed on communists by Hitler's administration. This led to floods of propaganda spreading about internal enemies, making anyone opposing Hitler's views be seen as dangerous and unpatriotic. This led to the Enabling Act by bypassing and suppressing opponents and gave Hitler the power to not need approval for any law or change that he wanted to make. Step 2, target minority groups as scapegoats. Demonizing minorities, immigrants, and political opponents openly. Leaders blame societal problems on those groups to rally support and justify authoritarian action. Hitler blamed the Jewish population for economic struggles and moral decay, which ultimately brainwashed his supporters into accepting their mass deportation. Many people don't realize that Hitler also began to attack the LGBTQIA+, by dismantling and halting all studies of gender and sexual science, looting and destroying archives and libraries of research. After so much propaganda had been widespread, Hitler was able to enact the Nuremberg laws, which targeted Jewish citizens' rights by punishing them into ghettos, and we know what followed next. Step 3, the militarization of politics and the use of violence. As democratic institutions weaken and fear continues to motivate people's hatreds, authoritarian leaders rely on violence, intimidation, and military control to maintain control. Police brutality, suppressing protest, and using military for domestic enforcement, Hitler convinced his followers that violence was necessary for law and order. Step 4, suppression of freedom of speech and control of media. Do not tolerate dissent. Control media, silence critics, and punish opposing voices. This is a sure way to ensure that the government's vision of reality is the only one people hear. Independent news is labeled as fake. Oppositions and voices are removed and silenced from TV and radio. Step 5, rig the elections and undermine democracy. Do not allow for fair elections. Manipulate the process to ensure you stay in power. Claim fraud to justify suppression. Intimidate the opposition with legal or physical harm. Hire people to burn ballots, pack arenas with loyalists, and praise them for being the ones to seek the truth. By now, you should already know what I'm speaking of. These are the 5 main steps of creating a fascist society. A society ran by authoritarians who do not want to see anybody but themselves in office. Those who elicit violence on any other group just to ensure their success. If you replace everything that I said and replace the word Hitler with Trump and replace Jewish with immigrants, you will see the glaring issue that we are not too far from this exact reality. Every single day, this president takes steps towards removing and dismantling our rights before our very eyes. And if you are not fearful of your rights being taken away next, you need to realize what amount of privilege you hold by not being afraid of your rights being taken away every single day. There are transgender people being silenced. The media is being controlled. There is everything being claimed as fake news. The algorithms are being controlled. Woke words are being removed from grants, otherwise they will not receive federal funding. They're sending 30,000 immigrants into a detention center that is meant to hold only 180. As a newly appointed commissioner of the Massey Commission, I want to invite you guys to these difficult conversations. Please come to our next meeting. Please email us. Please talk to your community, because we don't have time.
Mr. Clerk, anybody else? sign
James
up?
Johnson.
Mr. Johnson.
Still got that Patriots gear on. Don't hate on my Patriots. I ain't gonna keep you long. You guys remember Cat Williams? And he started something last year, said the truth must be told. 2025, when I come up here, the truth must be told, and I'm gonna tell it. And some of y'all ain't gonna like it, but I'm gonna tell the truth. And I'm gonna stick to my notes so I can stay under y'all 5 minutes. Appreciate the Black History Month unity. I like that. But I want y'all to know, Black history is American history, Scott. So I want every month to be about Black history. And I'm gonna give you something to think about. Why is it that Black History Month is in the shortest month of the year? I wonder who came up with that. How about this? I wonder who came up with black cats or bad luck. This is just something I want you to think about. Better yet, here's a good one. Who came up that Jesus was a white man? Read your Bible so you know. And I'm going to go into the last meeting because that's what brought me out. And it's real interesting when you sit at home and you watch this meeting and you really get to see what really goes on. And I was appalled. I thought it was hideous. And it was full of theses of how some things went back and forth last week. So it brought me out of my comfort zone of being at home watching these meetings. And I want to come and share that 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are people serve wards that all these people that you saw earlier, they live in a lot of them wards. And they deserve better. So the fighting back and forth, because see, you guys, we all are God's people. We got to put the politics aside sometime and just vote and do the right thing. It's not about Democrats, it's not about Republican, Independent, nothing. It's about doing the right thing. Erin Conley helped out last week on doing the right thing because she voted a certain way. And it's sad that I know how, if something comes from over on this side of the room, how the vote's gonna go before it even goes. And I'm asking y'all to stop that because these same people over here represent me and a whole bunch of other ones. And some of them ones that was in this room about 2 hours ago, a whole lot of them. So I would ask for y'all support when they do bring something, and let's work together to get something passed. Because see, if we don't like it, then we as citizens, we'll tell them, we'll handle it. But I also want the voting of president to stop. And I'm going to tell you why. Because we need that person in that seat right there to make that final decision. And if that person don't vote the way we want to vote, then we're going to remember it. And we'll deal with it. But the present vote ain't helping. Now, a few weeks ago, y'all ramrodded Redpath into that position. And I don't know how he got to vote for his own position at that seat, but I didn't like it. And I'm usually pretty cool, you know, Redpath, and I'm gonna look this way, but I'm gonna speak to him, because I know how y'all are. There's some things I try to be cool and nice about, and then there's other things I'm gonna have to start speaking on. That one, y'all was 100% wrong. Should have never been done that way. So whoever comes to Ward 1, and I'm talking to Ward 7, 9, and 10, I'm asking now, we need to work together and pass what needs to be passed, whatever comes from them, because it's from the community of people who was sitting out here and a whole bunch of other ones. Because some of that checks you get, that's my hard-earned money too.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Clerk?
That's all the people that signed up in time.
Okay, is there a need for executive
No
session this
need.
evening? I just want to remind everybody, the city is closed tomorrow for President Lincoln's birthday. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Good evening, everybody. Safe travels home.